Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Avalon, where we had a cleanup today hosted by Catalina Diver Supply. We have Liz Parkinson here, who will talk about her experience today.
Hi, everyone. It's really great to be here for the 43rd. Can you imagine that? 43 years of Avalon cleanups here on Catalina Island. Behind us, you can see the casino where Catalina Diver Supply is based. That's their home base here in Catalina. And we had the privilege of being able to do dives in 3 different spots around this marina today. The first spot was over there by the casino. Then we had 2 spots down here on the beach, and we had over 300 divers who came out from all over parts of not only the island, but Southern California to participate in the cleanup. I'm not sure the exact number, but I think it was over 1,300 pounds of garbage was removed from the harbor here, which is pretty extraordinary. All kinds of bits and bobs. So it was a real great pleasure to be here, and under the flag of Avelo, which is even better. Catalina Diver Supply is a one of the main suppliers and teachers and bases of the Avelo system here in Southern California. This is actually where I did my RAD course at the beginning of last year, and then I moved on and did my instructor certification later last year in Maui with Aviad. Actually, it was pretty fun. Yeah, we had a good time. Laugh, a lot. So the big thing today for me was to once again get some more Velo dives under my wing, but also just to experience it in a different capacity. Okay, we're out here and the water's cold. There's a lot of things that we're moving. We're definitely altering our the amount of things that we're carrying with us when we first enter the water. And so it's a big thing I want to chat to you guys about today, about how the Avelo system is designed. And maybe Aviad could get a little bit into that before I tell you about my experience with Avelo diving here at the cleanup.
Yeah, so earlier today, when the divers were going in and they were doing the cleanup, we asked some divers who dove on standard to come out, and we just wanted to weigh their gear. And on average, what we got and documented is that a lot of people have to get into the water in this temperature with between 75 and 80 pounds. And that's quite a bit. And then when they come out, they carry a lot of trash, like 1,300 pounds of total trash. And then we asked the Avelo divers to just give us, let us weigh their systems. And even the people that needed some weight ended up diving anywhere between 25 and 30 pounds less than that. So a lot of them were diving anywhere between 45 and 50 pounds total of, that's the system and everything that they needed to take. And then, Liz, how does it feel, to walk into the water and out of the water with that?
Sure. So my first introduction to Avelo, I totally overthought the system completely. I've been a dive instructor on regular scuba for many, many years, and I've dived in all temperatures all over the world. So I really, really overthought it. Diving here in Catalina, the water is cold. It was about between 55 and 58 degrees today. So like Aviad said, a lot of people are carrying a lot of extra weight. So the displacement, as well as that getting out of the water, carrying all your gear into the water. And I was drawn to go and dive off the rocks. So I didn't have this nice, luxurious, slightly sloping beach here. I got to go out over on the rocks over there. And my whole system, 9 mil of neoprene, I dived in a wetsuit today. I had 6 pounds of weight on. So already my gear set was substantially less than everybody else. And really the whole gear setup was about 49 pounds, the whole system. Walking down the path from getting my gear set up, we didn't have to do it right on the edge of the wall where everybody else is doing it. We literally jumped over the wall, bypassed the line. I think I spoke to someone earlier about it sort of being like a Disney fast pass. You just bypass the line, climb down the rocks, and jump in the water. The system really, you can't really think too much about it. It's kind of, for me, especially being a free diver and doing a lot of breath hold stuff for the work that I do. I find that the Avelo system is very similar to free diving, but having air with you the whole time. So you're in this consistent neutral buoyancy. And even being underwater and having my weight set correctly at the beginning, using the system, taking it down, and adding weight to that system, there wasn't a huge amount of change in my positioning in the water, which I think is something that people tend not to really understand very well. maybe you can explain to them how that displacement of water works with regards to the gear and then adding weight load on, like if you're carrying a camera, or what we did today, continue add weight throughout the dive.
Yeah, so let's start with how the system actually works. Up until now in Scuba, we relied on essentially a lift bag and a set of weights to establish our buoyancy. So you go into the water and the entire time you manage your buoyancy with its management of the lift bag itself that you're carrying. And unfortunately, that lift bag rides with you up and down the water column and changes buoyancy with you, which means you need to anticipate all the time. With Avelo, you're actually pumping water into a tank that sits behind you and has an internal bladder. And that removes the displacement of the tank. What it means is that once you set your buoyancy, you don't need to change it for the rest of the dive. And there's a misconception about Avelo as if the system is automatic or it helps you in any way or it's some sort of an assist. It's not at all. It's a manual system. And once you pump water into the tank and you change that displacement, you are then set. You get your head underwater, you swim to wherever you want to be, which is what you did today. And wherever you swim to, you just stay there. And the system doesn't need to do anything. It's actually the lack of the lift bag that, that's what causes all the problems. It's the lack of that lift bag that gives the system its advantage. Yeah?
Absolutely. As I swim up and down through the water column, I mean, as you go through your air, which is a question that some people ask as well, you do, as you're consuming the air in the tank, you do actually have to, as Aviad said, manually do an extra pump of water into the tank to give you that ballast so that you become neutral again. So you do have control. It's not like you're just going down on something that's taking you for a ride. You have full control. And that's part of the understanding, especially for those divers who've got a lot of dive experience, who've been diving, might be instructors themselves, who've done a lot of teaching. For me, that was the biggest a thing to figure out in my head. But once I got that down and I got the mechanics of where everything was and how it felt, it really is just a feel. And for those of you who are experienced divers who completely understand, when I said the best way to try the system out is actually to dive it. You can read and you can watch as many videos on YouTube as you want. You can listen to us talk for as long as you want. But the actual reality of it is that if you come out here and you hook up with Catalina Diver Supply, or if you're in Florida, Rainbow Divers, Bonaire, there's loads of locations all over the country, and now internationally, Australia as well. You can really get the fundamental idea in your own head and understand what it is like to free dive and not ever have to come for air until your tank is empty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So because of that, we're now experiencing quite an expansion. We just added to our list of dive shops, Ocean Enterprise in San Diego.
Woo! That's great.
Yeah.
Well done,
And
guys.
we're expanding all over the world. People are seeing it. They're understanding the benefits of the system in terms of carrying less weight, enjoying longer dive times, enjoying more the dive time, and actually the safety of the system. And that's now, as an Avelo instructor, I can ask you, what do you think it does to teaching?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think that's gonna, as more people become certified in it, at different levels, I think that's where you're gonna kind of, I think in this way, people who may not have as much diving experience may initially get it sometimes a bit faster. They may not understand the scuba system as well as an instructor might do. But like I said, myself, being an instructor, I thought about everything way, way too much. I literally just sort of had to forget my training. But because you are not dependent on a bladder and carrying this bag up and down through the water, there is a huge safety aspect to that, which I think is really important, especially in the work that I do in the film industry. Safety is our #1 priority. And having a system where you really don't have to worry too much about someone floating off to the surface. If there's a malfunction in the gear, if there's a malfunction in the hydro tank itself, you're not going to shoot to the surface like you would do if your weight belt became detached, if you lost a weight integrated pouch, if you were carrying weight and you dropped it, you're not going to shoot to the surface. Everything happens really slowly, which was another learning curve for me as well, which I found really, really interesting and kind of fun to play around with. I know these guys have put the Avelo system through the ringer. So I know that when it comes to the gear, they have done everything that they can possibly do to try and default it and try and make problems happen in the certification of the set itself, just so that they have this knowledge base of what happens if something happens or if something doesn't happen. What are some of the common things that you think you find? Like, people want to understand how it works. So what's something that could happen that's not as big as a catastrophe as if it did happen on Scuba, on a regular Scuba system?
That's a great question. We're getting question about safety all the time. And so really, when you think about what the system is, there's three things that always come to mind. And people ask that all the time. What happens if the battery stops functioning? Well, as you learn, the system it counts on counterbalance. Once you pump water into the tank, that water is locked in the tank. If the battery stops working or there's any electrical malfunction, nothing happens. You have 25, 30 minutes to let your body know that you're aboard the dive, and then ever so slowly go to your safety stop. You have ample time to do a safety stop, but nothing changes in terms of your buoyancy. The other thing that people are asking us all the time, if you have a water leak, if water leaks out of the system, well, there really is, at most times, anywhere between 2 and 3 pounds of water in the tank. So
Right there.
even if you have a water leak, it's not like losing a bag, when you have a weight, those are usually 12, 14 pounds of lost buoyancy. With a Velo, when you have a water leak, it will take, again, many minutes, usually 20 to 30 minutes, to change even a pound of buoyancy. And you can do all of this with your lungs. And that's what people finding with a Velo once they experience it, is that really most of your buoyancy is done with lung control, and you develop a much better lung control as a diver. And to your point about free divers,
Yeah.
this is the best training of lung control is a Velo. And then there's the most, the common question about what happens if the bladder fails. Really nothing. The air stays in the bladder. It's contained inside the tank, and there's no consequence to it. So those are the three things. Those are the questions that we get all the time. And you can compare it to a BCD. You can compare it to safety scenarios in a BCD. Generally speaking, when the lift bag we talked about, when something fails with that, usually the change in buoyancy is dramatic. Either, it inflates and then you need to control it before you get to the surface, or it deflates and then you need to control it and, to control an uncontrolled descent. Those are the comparisons. Does that answer it?
I think that sufficiently answers it. That wasn't that's sufficient. The one cool thing as well for those dive instructors that are out there that might dive in, having the harness itself as opposed to a BCD is also quite revolutionary. I know that at a certain point in my teaching career, I switched to more of a harness system than I did a traditional BCD, and it's just designed so well. It's designed to follow your shoulders around. It's not cumbersome. There's not anything. So it really feels like you're open and free as opposed to wearing a lot of stuff for water. That might be a learning curve for some people, but I think today as well, just having the amount of people using Avelo, which was really great to see, actually. There was a ton of people out here. I actually saw a guy riding his bike from this beach back around to Casino Point on his bicycle with the Avelo system strapped to his back. So, I mean, if that's a testament to, what else can be. It's really an interesting movement. And I think that a lot of people out there, if anyone has any questions, it would be great to answer anything that you might want to know or have an insight to. But I mean, you've got the man right here. Aviad was the one who came up with this really brilliant idea. And I know that not only have they started to spread internationally with the gear, they also are attending a lot of different trade shows around the world as well. So for instance, you guys were just in Boot, right? You were just in Germany. What was that like? It's pretty hectic. I mean, I've been there and it's just insane.
Yeah, it's a big show. And we actually won the Innovation Award. And I want to take that opportunity to thank the booth organizer and the jury for inviting us and recognizing the value of the system. So yeah, it was awesome.
That's amazing. I didn't know you guys won an award though.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's brilliant. Yeah, Boots something else. I mean, I know there's a lot of dive shows in the UK and there's dive shows, around the US, but honestly, if you're ever in Germany, what's it like January time?
Yeah.
Should check it out.
You should check it out.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful show.
What
I think
we
we're getting questions.
we are? What are we getting questions? The Boston Sea.
Yes, there will be a presence of Avelo in Boston Sea Rovers. Our Chief Technology Officer, Brian Verkart. Woo! Shout out to Brian, who works a lot on this system, is going to be at Boston Sea Rovers. So feel free to go and ask your questions there. Yes.
And it's really cool. At the shows, they'll have the hydro tank actually split, so you can see the innards and how it works. So it's not just a case of this is the unit. You can really see, and they'll break it down for you and show you the bladder and show you all the different, for lack of a better phrase, at this precise moment in time, bits and bobs that make up what is the amazing system that is Avelo.
Yes. To all of you who are engineers, we have a cutout.
Bits and bobs.
So I'll use that from now.
Bits and bobs. Avelo centers located.
Oh, we have Avelo dive centers now in many destinations.
We're in
We
the
have
United
30
States.
of
We've got
all of
California.
Florida. We have 12 dive shops in Florida. We have large dive shops like Rainbow Reef. And we have the Tampa area covered. We're about to have a large dive shop in Dallas, Texas, International Scuba. And we have California now, all network. We're going to have Catalina Diver Supply. We have Calypso Divers. Woo, Calypso.
Yeah.
And
Ocean Enterprises
we have
just
Ocean
hooked up.
Enterprises,
They just
yes.
hooked up.
got in.
And
Uh,
for that information,
Dive and Surf is coming up.
it's easy to go to the website if there are dive owners out there who want to get involved or have sort of a presentation. I know that you guys travel around and do it where they can get the gear on and they can go for dive themselves and get certified. So the RAD certification is the equivalent of what would effectively be your intro to the system.
And so we are in the US, we're mainly in Florida and California. We also have destinations like Bonaire and others are coming online. We're in Australia, in Sydney, and we're going into new destinations in Australia. And we are in Europe, in Spain.
That's great.
Yep. And more dive shops are coming. If you want to become an Avelo dive center, there is an application form on our website, and we're reviewing applications daily now. And we'd love to work with everybody, and everywhere you are. We're seeing a lot more demand now, and we are ready to go.
And your pool of instructors is growing. So the opportunity to get certified in lots of places. I know that there's also a spot in Mexico, a dive shop in Mexico that
Dive Guru.
the dive bureaus in Mexico, which is a great location for those of us who want to get out of this cold water, which is lovely, and head down to the warmer climates.
Yep.
Warmer climate.
Yeah. We have more and more instructor trainers.
Yep.
And shout out to Chelsea from Catalina Diver Supply, who just became an Avelo instructor trainer. So we're growing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was. Did you dive today, Aviad?
I did not. I was on the shore helping and overseeing everybody that went and came in. And actually, one of the reasons we didn't dive is because we ran out of gear. All the gear was out there. In fact, we had to bring more.
And it was a great flow. I mean, I don't know, for those of you who are not watching, this location is amazing. I mean, it's just so iconically California. It's just brilliant. And the community really comes together. It's a huge calendar point within the year. And the foot traffic is great. I mean, there was truckloads of people coming off the ferries today. So I think Avelo did really well, and I'm very honored to be having been asked and be a part of this organization and this.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
You're very welcome. Yeah, I traveled 21 miles from the mainland come here and see you today, Aviad. But I have traveled many more miles in the past. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we're looking forward to be in the LA show in early June.
Is that now back in Long Beach, or is it still the LA Convention Center?
I think it's in the LA. Oh,
It's back to Long Beach. It was LA Convention Center last year, so they've
Yep.
moved back to Long Beach this year, which is it's a nice location with that.
we had a great show last year, and we're looking forward to be there next. Or this
For this year,
This year.
this year,
year.
2025.
Yes. Hard to keep track right now.
Cool. Well, I guess if there's no more questions, and
Oh,
oh, we
same
do. We
question.
have a question. We have a question.
What happens alive in Avalon?
We are live from Avalon Harbor Underwater Cleanup.
Yeah.
This is where the cleanup is. The cleanup is already over. The cleanup was here between 9 a.m.
And
and
11
a.m. and
9:30 and 11:30.
yeah, and the entire beach behind us
Was packed.
Was packed.
There
Like
was
you
like
couldn't walk.
360 divers
Yeah.
here, which is way more than they had last year. And like we said a bit earlier, for those of you who may have just jumped on or jumping on, this location is where one of the cleanups happened. And then there's a beach slightly further down the harbor there. And then behind us is the Casino Point. Your head's in the way.
Oh.
Casino
Oh.
Point. Oh, right there. There you go. And along that rock. So we were able to sort of get into the marina harbor from all different directions. There's it was beautiful down there, especially if you were able to get into the water. First off, it was super clear. It is a bit chilly, but you know what, you just wear the right exposure suit. A lot of people are in dry suits today, and it was stunning. I found this is my first one here, and I've seen them all over the world. It was one of those hydro flasks, it's a really great company if you have one of those. And I couldn't understand why it was so heavy, because they're super light. And I was looking at it, and Jen Idle, who was photographing, shone her strobe into it, and there was this little octopus poking his little eyes out. So we thought, you know what, this has become part of the artificial reef system, and he has a snuggy little home. So we stuck him back and stuck his house back there. So I feel like we're big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just let the underwater cleanup happen. We didn't want to interrupt it. So here we are after the cleanup.
Yeah. It was earlier this morning. It's also getting a bit dark now as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And we want to give a shout out again to Catalina Diver Supply for putting this event together. It's amazing. It really is wonderful to see so many people coming in and caring about the ocean and cleaning it. It's part of our community and part of our DNA.
And we had a lot of conservational projects here too. We had some shark stuff, which is always very close to my heart. We had Patty Aware out here as well. And a lot of different other reef and ecological systems who are promoting the conservational areas of the national parks up and down the California coastline, which is so important right now because of all the fires that we've had in Malibu and the Palisades. So we're getting a lot of people asking questions about water quality and stuff and all that kind of thing. So it's sorry, that kid's so totally distracted me. Anyway, so thank you to all the conservational efforts. It's so important. It is. I mean, we've had such a hard time here in California the last several months. So it's nice to see that there's a big push for people who are asking these questions and getting involved in the community and really wanting to clean up the coastlines after the fires.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you all for staying tuned in with Avelo and attending our webinars. This is recorded and it's going to be live soon here.
So you can rewatch it.
Yep.
And thank you for having me.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys. We'll definitely see you, if not more of you guys, at the 44th annual Catalina Avalon dive cleanup here in the beautiful Channel Islands.
Yeah.
Woo, woo. Thanks, guys. Take it
Thank
easy.
you all.
Have a great night. Bye.